I am so excited to see you guys. Mark D. Friedman and Richard
Yes.
Rosenthal, two of one of my most favorite real estate teams in New York City. I wanted to interview you. You guys are my first, and I wanted to interview you a little bit so that the people that I know can meet you. So,
Well, thanks for having us.
yeah, and I want to start off with talking a bit about your background and what led you to real estate.
Okay.
I'll go first.
I'll go first.
Or
Yeah.
I knew that was going to happen.
I got into real estate about 18 years ago. I had left the software world and just fell upon it. And friends of mine worked at Halstead and told me they won't let me work anywhere else. And I've been here 18 years. I met Mark the way I met all the most important people in my life on some sort of a ball field, either basketball or softball. Mark and I met on the Halstead softball field, instantly became friends. We have a lot of similarities. We have a lot of things that are quite different and polar opposite. That's what makes our business so good and diverse. And we've had a really good run for about, 8 years now?
I think 10. It's like a wife. I think It's almost 10. Yeah. Well, I came to this a little bit differently. I was an actor to begin with, and I continued to do voiceovers. But I was in the gym and health club industry for a long time. I got tired of the whole industry and I needed to do something else. And I literally, my gym was on 83rd and Amsterdam. And I walked around the corner to Halstead on 79th Street and I saw that they were remodeling the office. They were just expanded. So I walked in and I said, "Are you looking for brokers?" And they said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." And I had gotten my license a couple of years earlier with the idea that I may one day do this. And I started at Halstead 15 years ago, never left. Now we're Brown Harris Stevens, of course. But as Richard said, we found each other on the ball field. We had a great rapport, at the start. And it's really just worked out to perfection, I gotta say.
Do you think that there's something different about your partnership that has, made it possible for you to be as successful as you have?
Well, it's interesting. We were both in different groups, different partnerships before we got to each other. And I think we learned the kinks of what not to do. We both have a very deep work ethic. And we really, when you get into some other teams, they really divvy up that you're going to do this and you're going to do this and that you get this cut. With Richard and I, we just work. We just go out there. We do what we need to do to get the job done. And that's really what it's all about. It's 10 years, we've never had an issue.
You should do relationship coaching.
It really is.
One thing that helped us, Janine, was that, while we are quite similar, we're both kind of big personalities. Sometimes we trip on each other a little bit, but, I come from the east side, he comes from the west side. My group of friends and colleagues are more in the finance and business section. Mark's are more in the theater and art section. I'm a little bit older. My friends are at a little bit different point in their lives. So we've been able to really cherry pick when things are good for me, that maybe not as good for Mark, when Mark's dump. Everything we're doing this year is all Mark stuff. It's a nice, when you have a diverse clientele, diverse portfolio, you don't get stuck in the doldrums of valleys. That's really helped us.
Yeah.
That's great.
And one more thing.
Yeah.
Mark's really working. I'm not working so hard. Should be on the record.
Has the COVID era affected your business?
Well, the COVID era has affected everybody's business. It stopped us for 5 months. We couldn't show an apartment. We had deals in the hopper that closed during COVID, which was, lucky. And some we had to extend closing dates because they couldn't figure out how to close virtually. That was a big problem for everybody. Now businesses seem to have picked up. It's not what it was. And I was just discussing this with another broker from a different company. And we both said the same thing. We are working, I would say, 3 times as hard to get half the deals that we've done. So yeah, I mean, it's a difficult situation for everybody though.
we've also been able to adapt. And I think one thing that's great about our team, we're both, Mark and I have cars living in New York. So we can pick each other up and pick up clients and go from one location to another without having to put people in a less safe environment with Ubers and cabs and public transportation. So that's a service we offer because of our team.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So what do you envision? I mean, once we're past this, do you envision growing your team so it's not just the two of you?
I came from the management side of the fitness industry. Richard came from management. The one thing that we both decided that we did not want to do was manage. So we really like to do, we do our own thing. We run the gamut, and we just keep on going.
Yeah.
Well, I have to tell you that I really appreciate working with both of you. I mean, even.
Well, you've been a great addition to our team. And I mean that sincerely.
Well, I think Mark makes a really good point. You know, we don't want to build our team with people we're employing, but we built a team of colleagues and trusted vendors, which you are one, that, you know, everyone knows each other now. I mean, that job you're doing on 57th Street are 3 of our trusted vendors.
Exactly.
We know what to expect, and we know how it'll get done. We can vouch for each other. It's powerful.
And you know, it's very good to have somebody who you can trust, just like Richard and I can trust each other. And it's a big relief, and it's a big plus for both of us.
Yeah.
That's great. So what I wanted to ask you is, do you have any, do you have a favorite real estate story that you can share?
Go ahead, Mark. It's all yours.
I was contacted years ago by somebody who I had known from the health club industry. She was an attorney, and she said, listen, somebody in my building literally went missing, and they found her, and she had dementia, and they put her in a home, and the place was a disaster. It was basically a hoarder's apartment, and she hired us to clean it out, get it ready for sale, and put it on the market. So we did all of that, and it was one of the most horrific scenes you've ever. And then as we put it on the market, we found out that she really didn't have the okay from the person, and she needed to extricate herself from the deal, and then it needed to get appointed by the court. So the court took over the listing, and that. So we were ready to go to market, and it was painted, done, floors done, everything. And we had an offer, and she took herself out of the deal, waited another year for the court to get everything done and appoint us back as the brokers. And during that time, she died.
Oh my goodness.
The attorney died. And when they looked in her apartment, they found that she was stealing money from the woman the whole time.
Oh my goodness gracious.
You could not make this story up in a million years. We ended up selling it, and it needed a gut renovation, obviously, but we ended up selling it. And that was probably 6 years ago, something like that. The people who now own it, contacted us because they want to sell it. Because we did such a good job. The other story I'll tell you quickly, we sold an apartment through Richard's friends at 15 Central Park West. It was a very nice apartment. They're great building. It just happened to be a 3rd floor apartment where every time you walked in at lunchtime, you smelled what was downstairs cooking in the kitchen, which was usually good, but not great. We sold it just in time before the market sort of went down. I think it was a 2-bedroom. We ended up selling it for what?
9.6.
9.6.
Million.
Recently,
oh
9.6 million. It recently was put back on the market. It stayed on the market for almost 2 years, and I think it sold for 5.5.
Wow.
On the market now, I think at 3.6.
Yeah. So we have some very we had some very lucky deals, and we've had some big deals. I sold Sting's apartment many years ago, and that was a great story as well. But we have, listen, we have a lot of war stories in 10 years.
Well, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys being my guinea pigs, my first interview.
Thanks.
And I look forward to many, many more projects working with you and being a member of your team.
Contact us at FRteam@bhsusa.com.
Well, I wish you guys many, many more years, another 10 years of your partnership.
We'll do
So
many, many more projects together.
I look forward to it.
Okay.